So we had the final press conference for this Canelo Alvarez versus Triple G fight earlier on today or yesterday, depending on where you are in the world. This is my reaction to the press conference and just some of my musings on the fight the closer we get to it. Definitely looking forward to it. Both guys looked as you would expect them to look. Calm, confident. I thought Canelo looked maybe a bit more intense than Triple G, but I think that's Canelo's way normally. He's normally more of a, surly, kind of serious character in the lead up to fights, whereas Golovkin always appears jovial and smiling and good boy and thumbs up and all that kind of stuff. So I thought they both looked their normal selves. They had the face off, both appeared confident. It was what it was. So that was really run-of-the-mill stuff. I want to give you my musings on this fight the closer we get to it. This may well come down to strategy as much as anything else. And it often does at the top level in professional boxing. It's not usually decided by who hits harder, who has the faster hands, so on and so forth. It's about who uses their attributes most effectively while negating or neutralizing their opponent's best attributes. That's normally what it comes down to at top level in professional boxing. We saw it a few weeks ago when Andre Ward defeated Sergey Kovalev in their rematch. Ward is not the bigger puncher. I wouldn't even say Ward is particularly fast. He's not that much faster than Kovalev. He's not really stronger, but he implemented his strengths and imposed them on Kovalev while negating Kovalev's strengths. That's what it's about. Now, with Triple G versus Canelo, we know Canelo is much more explosive. He's much faster in terms of his hand speed. I'm not saying that it's impossible for Golovkin to fight fire with fire and just go straight in to the trenches with Canelo and win. I'm not saying that's impossible, but if he does that, he's going to give Canelo a lot more of a chance to win the fight himself. A lot of people talk about the fact that Danny Jacobs did well against Triple G, and they say, but that was only because Jacobs has got height and reach which Canelo don't have. I went back and watched the Triple G Danny Jacobs fight just a couple of days ago. It was uploaded on the HBO YouTube channel, so any of you can go watch it in HD. And I've watched it several times now. When I watched it this time, the lasting thing that stayed in my mind was the fact that Danny Jacobs spent long stretches of the fight against Golovkin standing right in front of Golovkin, not moving around. There were moments where, there were times where he was moving a bit in certain rounds, but for a lot of the fight, Danny Jacobs was stood right in front of Golovkin in punching range, or just maybe slightly outside of punching range, looking to exchange. So it's not like this guy was running around the ring like Erislandy Lara or Amir Khan. No. You go watch the fight again. There are long stretches in that fight, even fairly early on in the fight, where Danny Jacobs is standing in front of Golovkin and he's looking to exchange. You can even see the look on his face. He's like, come on, let's exchange. So why? And not only that, but if you look at the exchanges in the Golovkin-Jacobs fight, especially in the second half of the fight, Jacobs was actually getting the better of most of the exchanges. And again, that's not because he was moving. No. Because in most of them exchanges, he would exchange and then he would stay right there in front of Golovkin. He was getting the better of the majority of the exchanges. And he was staying in front of Golovkin. And Golovkin wasn't really coming back with much other than jabs. Danny Jacobs successfully managed to dramatically reduce Golovkin's punch output, at least with power punches. He still threw a lot of jabs, but his power punch output was way down compared to where it normally was when he fought Danny Jacobs. Jacobs managed to get Golovkin to reduce the amount of power punches he was throwing, not by running around the ring, but by being the faster fighter in the exchanges. Golovkin thought to himself, okay, this guy hits hard and he's much faster than me. So I'm not going to try and engage him in exchanges. When he's not punching, that's when I'm going to punch. But when he starts throwing all them fast combinations at me, I'm not going to try and punch with him. He's too fast and he hits hard. So I'm saying you can actually reduce Golovkin's punch output without moving around. You can reduce his punch output simply by being faster than him and hitting him hard when you do open up. Canelo can do that. Canelo, for my money, his hand speed is at least close to Danny Jacobs. You might give Jacobs the edge in hand speed, maybe. You might give Canelo the hand speed edge, maybe. But they're in the same ballpark in terms of hand speed. I think Canelo lands cleaner on the inside and at mid-range than Danny Jacobs. Jacobs landed some nice shots on Golovkin, but there were a lot of shots which were hitting Golovkin on the shoulders and on the arms. I think Canelo is better at picking his punches in combinations than Danny Jacobs is. And Jacobs, again, go look at the fight. Jacobs was trying to exchange with Golovkin, not only at mid-range, but even at close range, he was trying to exchange. And when he has longer arms, whereby he has longer arms than Canelo, he's not as effective at shortening his punches at close range and landing cleanly on Golovkin. Canelo has much shorter arms than Danny Jacobs. When he's up close on Golovkin and he's firing off his combinations, I think they're going to land much better than Jacobs' shots did. And I think that will put Golovkin into his shell. I think if Golovkin comes forward on Canelo, Canelo's going to open up on him. And Golovkin's going to be like, okay, well, let me not do that again. As Peter Fury said in the video I did where all the different trainers and fighters and pundits made their predictions, Peter Fury said Golovkin's just a man. Canelo can knock him out, and I also believe he can. If he catches him with enough clean shots, he can wear him down and eventually stop him. I don't think Golovkin is stupid. It's like the famous line in that Clint Eastwood movie where Clint Eastwood's character says, it's important for a man to know his own limitations. Words to that effect. I think Golovkin knows his own limitations. A lot of the Golovkin fanatics may not know or acknowledge Golovkin's limitations, but Golovkin himself, I think he's very well aware of his own limitations. That's why he wasn't exchanging big hooks with Danny Jacobs for most of their fight, because he knew that Jacobs had the hand speed advantage and he was hitting hard. So he didn't want to get in a situation where, he's exchanging and he's getting caught. I mean, it did happen a couple of times where Jacobs caught him with that terrific left hook late in the fight when they exchanged. And, Golovkin, to his credit, showed an incredibly good chin. But he knows his limitations. And every time he's stepped up to a fight where people say it's going to be tough for him, like the Lemieux fight, he goes back to his boxing. And I think that's what he's going to do here against Canelo. I think he's going to go back to his boxing, just like Peter Fury's been saying. If he goes back to his boxing, sticks a jab on Canelo, who's the shorter man, he don't have the, length to be able to box. I don't think anyway, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think he has the length to be able to box at long range with Triple G. If Triple G decides he's just going to stick a jab out there. So, I think that's what he's going to do. And he's going to force Canelo to come forward. And Canelo's not particularly good coming forward. That would be the most sensible thing in my mind for Triple G to do. And if he does that, I think he wins the fight. If he don't do that, as Peter Fury and other people have said, I'm not saying he can't win if he goes forward and attacks Canelo, but I think his chances are greatly reduced and Canelo's chances are greatly increased. If Canelo wins this fight, I expect it to be a scenario where there's a lot of inside exchanges. That is the scenario where I see Canelo winning. Golovkin coming at him, Canelo countering, you know, slipping and sliding. And this is another thing that people don't seem to realize about Canelo. Now, Canelo does take a lot of breaks in fights. He likes to rest on the ropes and not do much, and sometimes even allow opponents to take pot shots at him. But Canelo is quite good at slipping and rolling with punches. You don't see Canelo get hit with big flush power shots bang on the chin very often. When he does get hit, he's pulling his head away, he's rolling with the punch, so on and so forth. Now, Golovkin hits very hard, as we all know. But he's slow. Again, whether the Golovkin fanboys want to acknowledge this or not, Golovkin has got slow hands. Canelo should be able to see most of those Golovkin hooks coming and be slipping and sliding and taking the sting off him when he can and firing his own shots back. Golovkin is vulnerable, we've seen this before, to uppercuts. One of Canelo's best punches is the uppercut, and he throws great uppercuts with both hands, the right and the left hand. We saw that particularly against Liam Smith. He was going ham. He was spamming the uppercut against Liam Smith. So yeah, if Golovkin comes forward, stylistically, that's going to suit Canelo. You know, and again, I'm not saying Golovkin can't win going forward, but I just don't see from a tactical point of view why he would take that risk when he's the taller guy, the rangier guy. Why take that risk? Why not just stick Canelo on the end of a jab? At least try and do that to see if it works, like he did against Lemieux, and it did work against Lemieux. Will Canelo be good enough on the front foot to be able to neutralize Golovkin's jab if that's what Golovkin decides to do? Get underneath the jab and attack Golovkin. Can Golovkin fight as well on the back foot if Canelo decides to come forward and attack him? Can Golovkin fight as well, and can he punch as hard on the back foot as he can going forward? Most fighters can't. A lot of big punches, when they get pushed back, their power is greatly reduced. Some guys, David Haye for example, still have tremendous punching power even when they're moving backwards. It remains to be seen if Golovkin's one of those kind of guys. Drop your comments in the comment section below. Let me know how you feel. This video is just to give you guys some more food for thought. Alright? It's happening, I'm out.